The alarm bells rang through the space station New Horizon like thunder. Captain Jake Morrison jumped from his chair and ran to the main control room. His boots hit the metal floor hard as he moved through the narrow hallways of the orbital station. "What's happening?" Jake asked as he reached the control center. Lieutenant Amy Parker looked up from her screen. Her face was pale and worried. "Sir, we have ships coming toward us. Big ships. Really big ships." Jake moved to the main viewing screen and saw them. 7 massive vessels hung in space like dark mountains against the stars. They were unlike anything humans had ever built. The ships were smooth and elegant, with strange curves and glowing lines running along their sides. They moved together in perfect formation, like dancers performing a deadly ballet. "How many?" Jake asked. 7 main ships, sir. Each one is 3 times bigger than our largest battleship, and there are smaller ships around them, maybe 50 or 60 total. Jake felt his stomach drop. Earth had only 12 military ships in the entire solar system. Most of them were old and not very strong. The space station New Horizon was their best defense, and it was really just a research station with some guns added to it. "Are they trying to talk to us?" Jake asked. Amy nodded and pressed some buttons. "Yes, sir. They sent a message 5 minutes ago. It's being translated now." The main screen changed to show strange symbols that slowly turned into English words. A voice began to speak. It was cold and mechanical, but somehow elegant at the same time. "Primitive inhabitants of the 3rd planet. I am War Commander Thexval of the Zephyrian Empire. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our great civilization. You have 1 rotation of your star to surrender completely. If you refuse, your species will be eliminated with precision and efficiency. This is the only warning you will receive." The message ended, and the control room became very quiet. Jake could hear his own heart beating. He looked around at his crew. Amy Parker was staring at her screen with wide eyes. Sergeant Tony Rivera stood near the weapons control station, his hands already moving toward the firing controls. Dr. Lisa Morgan, their science officer, was typing rapidly on her computer, trying to learn more about the alien ships. "Sir," Amy said quietly, "they've done this before. Our computers picked up data from their ships. They have records of 47 other worlds. All of them surrendered or were destroyed." Jake felt anger rising in his chest. These aliens thought they could just show up and take Earth like it was nothing. They thought humans would just give up and roll over like scared dogs. "Dr. Morgan," Jake said, "what can you tell me about their ships?" Lisa looked up from her computer. "They're incredibly advanced, Captain. Their weapons are based on energy beams that can cut through almost anything. They have shields that can stop most attacks. But, sir, there's something strange about how they move." "What do you mean?" "They move in perfect patterns, mathematical patterns, like they're following a very strict plan. Every ship stays in exactly the right position. They never break formation even for a second." Amy was studying the alien fleet through the station's telescopes. "Captain, they're not even trying to hide from us. They're just sitting there in the open, waiting for us to surrender." Jake thought about this. The aliens were so confident that they didn't bother to protect themselves. They thought humans were too weak and stupid to be a real threat. They had probably never lost a battle in their lives. "Sergeant Rivera," Jake said, "what weapons do we have?" Tony checked his controls. "Not much, sir. The station has 6 laser cannons and 12 missile tubes. We also have those 3 cargo ships docked with us, the mining ship Rocky Mountain, the transport ship Eagle's Wing, and the supply ship Desert Storm." "What about their crews?" "The Rocky Mountain has a crew of 8. The Eagle's Wing has 12 people. The Desert Storm has 6. Jake was quiet for a moment. 26 people plus his station crew of 15. 41 humans against an alien fleet that had conquered 47 worlds. The smart thing to do would be to surrender. That's what any reasonable person would do. But Jake Morrison was not feeling reasonable. He was feeling angry. "Amy," he said, "send a message back to the aliens." "What should it say, sir?" Jake thought for a moment. Then he smiled. but it was not a happy smile. It was the kind of smile a wolf makes when it sees a deer. Tell them this. We are humans. We don't surrender. If you want our world, come and take it. Amy typed the message and sent it. A few minutes. Later, the alien response came back. War Commander Thexaval sounded surprised and a little annoyed. Your response is not logical. You have no chance of victory. Our technology is far superior to yours. Our military has never been defeated. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick and painless. Jake laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. Dr. Morgan, can you tell me anything else about these aliens? Lisa nodded. I've been studying their transmissions. I think they're very civilized, Captain. They follow rules and patterns. They probably haven't had a real war in hundreds of years. They're used to enemies who fight like them. What do you mean? I mean they expect their enemies to be logical and predictable. They probably expect us to line up our ships in neat rows and have a fair fight. Jake looked at the alien fleet again. They were still in perfect formation, waiting patiently for the humans to make the first move. They had no idea what they were dealing with. Sergeant Rivera, Jake said, I want you to do something crazy. Sir? Load the cargo ships with every explosive we have on the station. Mining charges, missile warheads, fuel tanks, everything. Then I want you to find volunteers to pilot those ships straight into the alien formation. Tony stared at him. Sir, that's suicide. Yes, it is. But it's also going to hurt them badly. These aliens think they understand combat because they have better weapons and shields. But they don't understand humans. They don't understand that sometimes the best weapon is not caring if you die. Amy looked up from her controls. Captain, the cargo ship crews are already volunteering. All of them. They heard our conversation over the comm system. Jake felt a strange mix of pride and sadness. This was what made humans different. When faced with impossible odds, they didn't surrender. They found a way to fight, even if it meant dying. Send another message to the aliens, Jake said. Tell them they're about to learn something new about combat. The first battle between humans and the Zephyrian Empire was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea what they had gotten themselves into. The next 3 months changed everything in the galaxy. Admiral Torvek watched from the bridge of his new flagship as construction ships worked around the clock to build weapons that could fight the Hive. Human engineers worked side by side, with galactic scientists sharing technology that had been secret for centuries. The changes were everywhere. Peaceful exploration ships were fitted with armor and weapons. Mining colonies became fortress worlds. Trade routes turned into supply lines for a war machine that grew larger every day. Captain Morrison had kept his promise to teach the galaxy how to fight, but the lessons were harder than anyone expected. Admiral, incoming message from the Centauri Defense Fleet, reported Communications Officer Rick Starr. They have completed installation of human weapon systems on 40 ships. Good, replied Admiral Torvek. What about the Altarian shipyards? 300 new kinetic weapon platforms are ready for deployment. The human advisors say they should be effective against Hive biology. Morrison walked onto the bridge, carrying data pads filled with battle plans. In 3 months, he had become the galaxy's unofficial military commander. Every species in the Galactic Council looked to him for guidance on how to survive the coming war. Admiral, we just received long-range sensor data from our deep space monitoring stations, Morrison said. The main Hive fleet has entered the outer edge of the galaxy. We have maybe 2 weeks before they reach the first inhabited systems. Admiral, Torvek felt his stomach drop. Even after 3 months of preparation, 2 weeks seemed like no time at all. How big is their fleet? Bigger than we hoped. Our sensors show at least 3,000 ships, possibly more. They're moving in multiple groups, planning to attack dozens of systems at the same time. Dr. Hemvalor looked up from her workstation. Captain Morrison, are you certain our new weapons will work against them? Nothing is certain in war, Doctor, but we've combined the best of human weapons technology with galactic manufacturing capability. Your people build better sensors and communication systems than we ever could. Together, we've created something neither of us could have made alone. The main viewing screen activated, showing the combined fleet that now protected the galaxy's core worlds. Human ships flew alongside vessels from 12 different species. The sight would have been impossible just months before, but now it represented the galaxy's only hope for survival. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Torvek. The Admiral spoke into his communication system. Begin final preparation for Operation Unity. All ships report readiness status. One by one, ship captains from across the galaxy reported in. The voices spoke different languages, but they all said the same thing. They were ready to fight. Morrison activated his own communicator. All human vessels, this is Captain Morrison. Remember what we're fighting for. Behind us are billions of beings who have never known war. They're counting on us to keep the darkness away. Navigator Zix Thera called out from her station. Admiral, sensors are detecting incoming ships at the edge of the system. Multiple contacts moving fast. How many? Asked Admiral Torvek. I count 50, maybe 60. But Admiral, these readings are different from the scouts we fought before. These ships are much larger. Morrison studied the sensor data, and his expression became grim. Those aren't scouts. Those are hive warriors. They're twice as big as the scouts and 3 times as dangerous. This is the real test. The combined fleet moved into battle formation. Human ships took point positions while galactic vessels formed, support lines behind them. The strategy was simple. Use human experience and galactic firepower to destroy the enemy before they could adapt to the new weapons. The first hive warrior appeared on the main screen. It was massive, the size of a small moon, with tentacles that stretched for kilometers. Organic armor covered its surface, pulsing with biological light. Smaller creatures swarmed around it like parasites, ready to attack anything that came close. All ships, open fire, ordered Admiral Torvek. The combined fleet unleashed everything they had. Kinetic weapons fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds. Biological weapons spread poison through space. Energy weapons hit the hive creatures with focused beams of destruction. The attack was coordinated and massive, unlike anything the hive had faced before. The hive warriors fought back with weapons that defied understanding. They fired living projectiles that could change direction in flight. They released clouds of acid that ate through ship hulls. Some of them split into smaller creatures when damaged, multiplying the threat. USS Retribution is taking heavy damage, came a voice over the communication system. We're losing forward shields. Altarian cruiser Silent Dawn reporting engine failure, came another voice. We're dead in space. Morrison coordinated the battle from his position on the bridge. Centauri ships, focus fire on the wounded warrior. On the left, Altarian fleet cover the Silent Dawn's retreat. Human vessels, target the creature that's trying to split. The battle raged for 2 hours. Ships from both sides were destroyed or damaged. But slowly, the combined fleet began to win. The new weapons were working. The hive warriors were dying permanently, unable to adapt to the combination of human tactics and galactic technology. Last hive warrior is down, reported Captain Sarah Blake from the USS Vengeance. All enemy contacts destroyed. Cheers erupted across the fleet's communication channels. For the first time since the war began, the galaxy had won a major victory against the hive. But Morrison's expression remained serious. Don't celebrate yet, he warned. This was just the advance force. The main hive fleet is still coming. Admiral Torvek looked at the damage reports streaming in from across the fleet. They had lost 15 ships and damaged twice that many. If this was just the advance force, how could they survive the main attack? Captain Morrison, be honest with me. Do we have a chance against 3,000 hive ships? Morrison was quiet for a long moment. Admiral, 6 months ago I would have said no. But your people have surprised me. You learn fast, you work together, and you don't give up. That makes you more dangerous than the Hive expects. Dr. Hemvalor spoke up from her station. Captain, I've been studying the wreckage from this battle. The Hive creatures are sharing information faster than before. They're learning about our new weapons. Then we'll have to learn faster than they do, Morrison replied. Admiral, send word to all fleet commanders. We have 1 week to prepare for the main attack. Use that time to modify our weapons, change our tactics, and get ready for the biggest battle in galactic history. Over the next week, the combined fleet worked without rest. Engineers modified weapon systems, tacticians developed new battle plans, and medical teams prepared for massive casualties. The entire galaxy held its breath, waiting for the storm that was coming. When the main Hive fleet finally arrived, it darkened the space around 3-star systems. Thousands of organic ships spread across the void like a living plague. But waiting for them was something the Hive had never encountered before. A galaxy united in war, led by warriors from a death world, fighting for the right to exist. The final battle for the galaxy's survival was about to begin, and both sides knew only one would survive to see the end. The warning came at the worst possible time. Admiral Torvek was still trying to process everything Captain Morrison had told them when the bridge alarm started screaming. Navigator Zixathara's voice cut through the noise with words that chilled everyone who heard them. Admiral, we have incoming ships, multiple contacts, moving fast from the outer system. Morrison was already moving before anyone else could react. He grabbed a communication device from his belt and spoke quickly into it. All human vessels, yellow alert. Unknown contacts approaching the fleet. Prepare for possible Hive encounter. Admiral Torvek followed Morrison to the bridge, trying to keep up with the humans' long stride. How did you know they were coming? Because the Hive doesn't waste time, Morrison replied. They sent scouts ahead to check their information. If we're lucky, it's just a few ships. If we're not lucky, this is the beginning of their main attack. The bridge of the Harmony's edge was chaos. Officers from 12 different species were trying to track ships that moved unlike anything they had ever seen before. The approaching vessels showed up on sensors, then disappeared, then appeared somewhere else entirely. How many ships? Demanded Admiral Torvek. I count 15, maybe 20, replied Zixthara. But they keep changing position. It's like they're teleporting. Morrison looked at the sensor readings, and his face went pale. Admiral, those aren't ships. Those are Hive scouts, and they move like that because they're alive. They can bend space around themselves to move faster. Dr. Hemvalor was studying her own readings. The energy signatures are completely biological. These ships are actually living creatures. Get all galactic ships into defensive formation, ordered Admiral Torvek. Prepare all weapons. Morrison shook his head. Admiral, with respect, your weapons won't work against them. Hive scouts adapt to energy weapons after the first few hits. You need to use kinetic weapons, physical projectiles, things that can't be adapted to. We don't have kinetic weapons on most of our ships, admitted the Admiral. Then let us handle the fighting. Keep your ships back and observe. You need to see how this enemy fights so you can prepare for the big battle. Morrison activated his communication device again. All human vessels, form attack pattern Delta, target the scouts before. They can report back to the main Hive, no survivors. Through the main viewing screen, the galactic crew watched in amazement as human ships appeared out of nowhere. The vessels had been hidden using stealth technology that made them invisible to galactic sensors. One moment, the space around the fleet was empty. The next, it was filled with sleek, deadly-looking human warships. The first Hive scout appeared on the edge of sensor range. It looked like a giant jellyfish made of metal and flesh, pulsing with organic light. Tentacles that could have wrapped around a city block waved through space as it moved toward the fleet. The human ship USS Retribution opened fire first. Its weapons were unlike anything the galactic crew had ever seen. Instead of energy beams, it fired solid projectiles that moved so fast they were almost invisible. The rounds hit the Hive scout and tore through its organic hull like paper. But the creature didn't die. Instead, it began to change. Its wounds closed up, and new armor grew over the damaged areas. Within seconds, it was stronger than before. "This is why energy weapons don't work," Morrison explained to the watching Galactic officers. "The Hive learns from every attack, but watch what happens next." The USS Retribution fired again, but this time the projectiles were different. They exploded inside the creature, releasing some kind of poison that spread through its biological systems. The scout writhed in space for a few seconds, then went completely still. "Biological weapons," said Morrison. "The only thing that works against them consistently. We've spent 50 years learning how to kill these things permanently." More Hive scouts appeared, and more human ships engaged them. The battle was fast and brutal. The Galactic crews watched human pilots fly their ships in ways that defied physics, pulling maneuvers that should have killed anyone inside. The humans fought with a coordination and precision that spoke of decades of experience. "How do your pilots survive those acceleration forces?" asked Dr. Hemvalor. "We've modified ourselves over generations to handle high-G maneuvers," Morrison replied. "Our bones are denser, our organs are reinforced, our blood can carry more oxygen. We built ourselves to fight in space." The battle lasted only 20 minutes. When it was over, every Hive scout was destroyed. The human ships regrouped around the Galactic fleet, their hulls scarred but intact. "Damage report," Morrison called to his ships. "USS Vengeance took some hits, but we're operational," came one reply. "USS Last Stand lost forward shields, but weapons are green," came another. Admiral Torvek realized he was listening to the communications of people who had been at war for half a century. Their voices were calm and professional, reporting damage like it was routine. Morrison turned to the Admiral. "That was just a scouting force, maybe 20 ships total. When the main Hive fleet arrives, they'll bring thousands." "How do we fight? Thousands of ships like that?" asked Admiral Torvek. "Together," Morrison replied. "Your people have good ship designs and excellent sensors. We have weapons and tactics. Combine them, and we might have a chance." Dr. Hemvalor was still studying the remains of the destroyed Hive scouts. "Captain Morrison, I need to understand how these creatures work. Can we examine the wreckage?" "Don't touch it directly," Morrison warned. "Even dead Hive tissue can be dangerous. But yes, we need you to understand what we're fighting. Your scientists might see things our people missed." Over the next few hours, joint human-galactic teams worked together to study the destroyed scouts. What they found was terrifying. The Hive creatures were not just ships with crews. They were single organisms, bred specifically for warfare. Their biological systems could adapt to almost any attack, and their intelligence was shared across the entire Hive network. "They're not individuals," Dr. Hemvalor explained to the assembled officers. "Each creature is like a finger on a giant hand. They share thoughts, memories, experiences. When one learns something, they all learn it." "Which means they now know about our weapons," Morrison added grimly. "The next group will be harder to kill." Admiral Torvek felt the weight of command pressing down on him. His peaceful galaxy was about to become a battlefield, and billions of lives depended on decisions he would make in the coming days. "Captain Morrison, will you help us prepare our fleets for war?" Morrison nodded. "Admiral, we've been preparing for this moment for 50 years. We'll teach your people everything we know about fighting the Hive. But you need to understand something. This won't be like the wars your history books talk about. There will be no prisoners, no negotiations, no mercy. When the Hive comes, it's kill or be consumed." The bridge fell silent as the reality of their situation sank in. The age of peaceful exploration was over. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant to fight for survival against an enemy that knew no mercy. Morrison looked out at the stars where more human ships were taking defensive positions. "Admiral, send word to every inhabited system. Tell them to prepare for war. The Hive is coming, and we're going to need everyone who can hold a weapon." The Death World ship stopped moving. For 10 long minutes, both the mysterious vessel and the galactic fleet faced each other in complete silence. Admiral Torvek kept his finger near the fire button, but something made him wait. The ship had turned to face them, but it had not fired. Maybe whatever was inside wanted to talk. "Admiral," said Chief Science Officer Clymora, "galactic law requires first contact protocols, even with potentially hostile species. We must try to communicate before we attack." Admiral Torvek did not like the law, but he had sworn to follow it. "Very well, but keep all weapons ready. If that thing makes one wrong move, we destroy it." The Admiral called for Dr. Hemveller, the galaxy's best expert on dangerous worlds and strange life forms. She arrived on the fastest ship in the fleet, bringing with her a team of scientists who specialized in talking to new species. Dr. Hemveller was a tall, thin being from the Centauri Republic. Her people were known for being very smart and very careful. She had studied more hostile worlds than anyone else in the galaxy. When she saw the readings from the Death World ship, her normally calm face showed worry. "This is worse than I thought," she said to Admiral Torvek. "Look at these hull temperature readings. The inside of that ship is hot enough to cook most galactic species in seconds. Whatever lives in there evolved in conditions that would kill us just by being near them." "Can we communicate with them?" asked the Admiral. "We can try, but we need to be very careful. If they are from a Class 15 world, their whole way of thinking might be different from ours. They might see talking as weakness or fighting as the only way to say hello." Dr. Hemveller set up her equipment on the bridge of the Harmony's edge. She started with simple mathematics, sending basic number sequences toward the ship using low-power lasers. 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4. Simple patterns that any intelligent species should understand. For 3 days, they sent signals, numbers, pictures, even music from different galactic worlds. The Death World ship received every signal, but sent nothing back. Some of the fleet captains began to think the ship was empty, just an old wreck drifting in space. Then, on the 4th day, everything changed. The ship sent back a signal. Not simple numbers, but complex mathematical formulas that showed understanding of physics far beyond what the galaxy knew. The equations described faster-than-light travel in ways that galactic scientists had only dreamed about. Whoever was on that ship was not just intelligent. They were smarter than the entire Galactic Council. "They know things we don't," whispered Dr. Hemveller as she studied the formulas. "These equations could change everything we know about space travel." The real surprise came when Lieutenant Commander Janix of the Terran Linguistics Corps looked at the signal patterns. Janix was an expert in old languages from across the galaxy. His people collected ancient writings and dead languages like others collected art. "I have seen these patterns before," he said, his voice full of confusion. "They look like languages from Earth." Everyone on the bridge stared at him. Earth was known to the galaxy, but only as another death world. It was Class 12, not as bad as Class 15, but still far too dangerous for life. No one had ever reported intelligent life on Earth. "That is impossible," said Admiral Torvek. "Earth is a death world. Nothing lives there but simple animals." "I know what I see," replied Janix. "These signal patterns have roots in Earth languages. Old ones, but definitely from Earth." Dr. Hemveller ran new tests on the signals. The computer confirmed what Janix had said. The mathematical formulas were written using number systems that came from Earth. Somehow, the beings on the Death World ship knew about Earth languages. On the 5th day, the ship opened a communication channel. The bridge filled with static, then a voice spoke in perfect galactic standard. The accent was strange, but every word was clear. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel USS Defiance. We have been monitoring your transmissions. Your mathematical skills are impressive, but your weapons technology needs work." The bridge fell silent. No one moved. No one even breathed. Finally, Admiral Torvek, found his voice. "You speak our language? How is this possible?" The voice from the ship laughed. It was not a mean laugh, but it was not friendly either. "We have been listening to your radio signals for over 200 years. We learned your languages long before you knew we existed." "You are from Earth?" asked Dr. Hemvalor. "Born and raised on good old Terra, though I suspect you call it something else in your charts. Earth is a Class 12 death world. Nothing intelligent can live there." Another laugh came from the speakers. "Lady, Earth is not a death world to us. It's home. And compared to some places we've been, it's actually pretty nice." Admiral Torvek felt his world changing around him. Everything the galaxy knew about death worlds was wrong. Not only could intelligent life exist on such worlds, but they could build ships that made galactic technology look like children's toys. "Why have you hidden from us?" asked the Admiral. "We've been watching you for a long time, Admiral. Your people are peaceful. You work together. You help each other. You solve problems with words instead of weapons. We thought it was beautiful." But the Admiral could hear something in the human's voice. "But there are things in the dark between the stars that are not peaceful. Things that eat planets and turn everything living into more of themselves. We've been fighting them for 50 years, trying to keep them away from your nice, quiet part of the galaxy." Dr. Hemvalor stepped closer to the communication station. "What kind of things?" "The kind that make death worlds look like vacation spots. They're called the Zephyrian Hive, and they're coming your way. We've been losing the war against them, and they just found out where you live." The words hit the bridge like cold water. Captain Jake Morrison continued talking, but his voice was tired now. "We've been waiting for someone from your fleet to find us. We need to talk, and we need to do it fast. The Hive ships will be here in a few months, and when they arrive, your peaceful galaxy is going to become a war zone." Admiral Torvek looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. Fear, confusion, and disbelief filled every expression. The galaxy was about to learn that their peaceful expansion had been protected by warriors from a death world, and that protection was about to end. "Will you come aboard our ship to talk?" asked the Admiral. "I'll come over, but only if you understand one thing first. Time is running out for all of us." Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the massive space station grow larger on the main screen. The Galactic Council's primary station was bigger than any city on Earth, spinning slowly around the bright orange star of Kepler 442. Thousands of ships from dozens of different alien species moved around it like busy insects. Jake had made this trip 12 times in the past 3 years, ever since humanity joined the Galactic Council. Each time he felt the same mix of wonder and worry. The aliens were so advanced, so powerful, humanity was lucky to be here at all. "Captain, we're getting clearance to dock at Bay 47, said Lieutenant Commander Lisa Grant from her station. She was the ship's intelligence officer, a sharp woman who never missed a detail. "The Zephyrians want to meet in 2 hours, Jake nodded. The Zephyrians were humanity's main contact with the Council. They looked almost human except for their blue skin and large black eyes. They had been the ones to make first contact with Earth, offering friendship and a place in the galactic community. "Any word on the new mining assignments?" Jake asked. Lisa's face darkened a little. "Same as always, sir. They want us to expand operations on Kepler 283c. It's another dead rock with no atmosphere." Jake sighed. For 3 years, humanity had been assigned to mine lifeless planets while other species got the good worlds with breathable air and water. The Council always said it was because humans were too aggressive for more important work. They needed to prove themselves first. It bothered Jake. But what could he do? Earth's technology was centuries behind the Council races. Without their help, humanity would still be stuck in one solar system. Commander Ryan Clark looked up from his console. "Sir, I'm picking up some strange transmissions from the Zephyrian ships. Looks like internal communications that got routed to the wrong channel. Can you decode them? Jake asked. Already working on it, Ryan said. He was good with alien technology, better than most humans. Give me a few minutes. Jake walked to the front of the bridge and stared out at the station. Somewhere in there, council members from 40 different species made decisions that affected billions of lives. Humanity had one small voice among many. They were grateful just to be included. Dr. Elena Rodriguez came onto the bridge carrying a data pad. She was the mission's expert on alien biology and culture. Captain, I've been reviewing the trade agreements again. Something doesn't add up. What do you mean? Jake asked. Elena pulled up charts on the main screen. Look at the resources we're mining: rare metals, energy crystals, quantum materials. These are some of the most valuable substances in the galaxy, but we're trading them for basic technology that's decades old. Lisa looked up from her station. The council says we need to prove we can handle advanced technology responsibly. But look at this, Elena continued. The Altarians got fusion power within a year of joining. The Crystalline Collective got faster-than-light communication in 6 months. We've been members for 3 years and we're still using chemical rockets. For half our fleet. Jake frowned. He had wondered about that too. Human engineers were smart. They should be able to handle more advanced technology by now. Captain, Ryan called out. I've got those transmissions decoded. You need to see this. Jake walked over to Ryan's station. The young commander's face was pale. What is it? These aren't recent transmissions, sir. According to the timestamps, some of these go back 50 years. 50 years before first contact. Jake felt a cold chill run down his spine. That's impossible. The Zephyrians said they discovered Earth by accident 3 years ago. Ryan shook his head. Sir, they've been watching us for decades. Look at this message from 47 years. Ego. He put the translation on screen. Subject species 847 continues to develop at unexpected rate. Military capacity exceeds projections by 340%. Recommend immediate intervention before they achieve faster-than-light capability. Jake read the message twice. Subject species 847. Humanity. There's more, Ryan said. His hands shook as he brought up another file. This one is from the Council's Science Division dated 22 years ago. The new message made Jake's blood run cold. Species 847 classified as Category 5 threat. Intelligence and adaptability ratings exceed all known species. Industrial capacity growth rate indicates potential galactic dominance within 2 centuries if left unchecked. Recommend immediate contact and containment protocols. Lisa had left her station and was reading over Jake's shoulder. Category 5. Threat? What does that mean? Elena was checking her data pad. According to the files we have, there are only 3 other Category 5 species in Council records. All 3 were extinct within 100 years of classification. The bridge fell silent. Jake felt like the floor had dropped out from under him. Everything they thought they knew was wrong. Keep decoding, Jake ordered Ryan. I want to know everything. For the next hour, Ryan pulled message after message from the alien data stream. Each one was worse than the last. The Council had been watching Earth since the 1970s. They had seen humanity go from primitive rockets to space stations to plans for interstellar travel. They had studied human military tactics during every major war. The final message was the worst. It was from Supreme Chancellor Korthak himself, dated just 6 months before first contact. Council members, the human threat continues to grow. Their weapons technology has advanced beyond our projections. Their industrial base could support a war fleet larger than our combined forces within a decade. We must act now. Initiate Plan Omega, make contact, offer them partnership, keep them weak. Jake read the message 3 times before it sank in. Plan Omega. Keep them weak. Sir, Lisa said quietly, all those mining assignments, all those dead worlds, they weren't testing our dedication. They were keeping us busy. Elena nodded. and isolated. Every human colony is on a planet with no strategic value, no allies, no resources except what we dig out of the ground. Jake's hands clenched into fists. 3 years of grateful speeches, 3 years of accepting scraps from the council's table, 3 years of believing they were lucky to be included. They had been played for fools. "Captain," Ryan said, "there's one more file. It's marked Future Operations." Jake didn't want to know, but he had to. "Show me." The final message was dated just 2 weeks ago. Phase 2 of human containment proceeding as planned. Mining colonies isolated and vulnerable. Population centers mapped. When ready, recommend total annexation of human territory. Species 847 too dangerous to remain independent indefinitely. Jake stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he turned to face his crew. They all had the same look in their eyes. Betrayal, anger, and something else. Something cold and deadly. "Lisa, send a message to Admiral Thompson on Earth. Priority Alpha. Tell him we're coming home with important information." "Sir, what about the meeting with the Zephyrians?" Jake looked out at the massive council station. Thousands of aliens going about their business, all of them part of the lie. All of them complicit in humanity's planned destruction. "Tell them." "Captain Morrison sends his regrets," Jake said. "And Lisa?" "Yes, sir." "Tell Admiral Thompson to start preparing our defenses. Tell him the council has been lying to us from the beginning. Tell him they're planning to destroy us." Jake turned back to the screen as the Defiance began to move away from the station. Somewhere in that spinning maze of metal and lies, aliens were probably wondering why the human ship was leaving early. They would find out soon enough. The truth was out, and humanity was going home to prepare for war.